Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about soldering lead and zinc came and how to finish your product. Make sure you follow the safety rules. I can't stress this enough. And take your time. Learn how to do it right. Variety of solders, you'll see 60-40, which is the lead content, and tin content, 50-50, which has to be melting at a higher temp. Acid core, resin core, you'll see there's some things you might want to learn about that. I've not heard great things. I have personally not tried it, but here's a website that you could follow. You'll see lead-free solder, which means there is no lead in it. It's supposed to be safer, but there are a lot of particulars about it, and it's not as sturdy as the ones with lead. So here are some articles and a website I'm referring you to learn more about it. You'll need flux, because you need something to help activate the lead and the glass or the copper together. Now, flux has a lot of chemicals, so I suggest you take caution and use good ventilation. Now, when we look at soldering irons, there are a variety of them. You need at least 100 to 110 watts. Temperature control is important. The correct size tip makes a difference as well. So you need to make sure you have all that you need, and there's a lot of research that's done behind it. Everyone has a different preference. Brass sponges are used for tinning, which means to clean the tip and prepare the tip of your iron so that it can attach the flux to the solder and to the copper. There also are tinning solutions, there are bars, and here's just some information about the lead-free tip tinner. There are also leaded tip tinners. If you're using lead-free solder, you have to use a lead-free tip tinner. If you find you have a small space between your copper foiled pieces, don't fret. You can take tinned wire, which is copper wire with lead on it, and put it in the spaces, and then that'll give you a surface to attach the flux and the solder. Once you have cleaned the entire piece, you'll need to clean it with something. They have flux cleaner, you have ammonia-free window cleaner, or good old-fashioned Dawn detergent. I'm not promoting any products, I just want you to know what's available. To completely finish your piece, you may just solder it if it's small enough, or you may put a chain or twisted wire, or you can use types of came, C-A-M-E. You have lead and you have zinc, and they come in H shape, which looks like an H that's wrapped around the piece, or a U. You'll need specific lead snips. You need to know what size came you need, so you need to know the thickness of your glass. Lead vise is attached to a board or a tabletop, and then you put one end of the lead came into it and actually stretch it so that it won't warp while your piece is hanging. Zinc is obviously a harder metal, so it requires a special saw, and there's some literature on that. The articles and websites are helpful to you. These are great resources that I have found in my research, and I'm absolutely no expert. I am a learner just like you are, just a few more years experience, but I thought maybe these would be good resources to help you learn a little bit more about these different tools, techniques, supplies, so you'll be informed. Now, when we solder, you'll see a section here. We're just trying to show some samples where you have the hot iron. We're putting the solder on top. This particular section, we're showing you how we take a jump ring to attach, so you have some way to hold it to a chain. And then we're just going to walk you through some images of soldering and soldering the lead came to the outside. You'll see how you tack it in the joints. The lead came is a solid surface on the outside. Now it may be H where it has an open channel, but pretty much it's different than the solder that you're melting to put on the piece. And then you just have to put a little flux with each joint and attach your solder to that came, whether it's zinc or lead, and to your pieces. And so it takes practice, but it's worthwhile in the end. Something we all are concerned about is absolutely having a perfect piece and wanting to do our best and trying to come up with a way that we can make this metal, this solder, have a nice, even, smooth run. And what you can do is you can actually melt the tip of it and let it drop. and then let it flow. And you take your iron and just gently smooth it along. Now, every time you stop and start, you're going to leave a little crease. So keep that in mind. Now, some folks like to just put dots of solder along and then hit the iron on it and then make a nice run. Others like to do a flat edge and then come back and add your little drops and make it come along. That's going to be up to you. There are different ways to hang your stained glass piece, and you'll see the ring that we mentioned before. You can use a silver plated jump ring in the jewelry section online or in stores, but make sure it is truly silver plated. If it's not, it will not take the flux and it won't accept the solder. Some actually have purchased the curly cues, which are basically wires that are shaped into a cute curly cue design, and you can attach that preferably on the joint piece of your soldered piece, so you connect it to the cane and hopefully a joint, depending on where your joints are on your piece. That just gives you an idea. Now, some are interested in patina. There are different types of patina, different colors. The black comes in either for the lead solder or for the zinc, and then they have copper and they have dark bronze. It's not as shiny as I had thought it would be. It tends to be a little matted, so keep that in mind. Here's an example. It's wet right now because it's a liquid, and I would suggest that you make sure you use the correct brush, and once you use a brush, label it if you're not going to throw it away. We did try to use the heat gun to heat up the process to see, and I apologize, this is not the best picture, but it's pretty matte finish. And these were just practice pieces. As I keep suggesting, always practice first before you touch your expensive piece. Some like to clean it up again with the solutions I mentioned before or with Dawn soap, and then you can put a finish on it. Some people use finishing compounds. Some actually use car wax with carnauba wax. I tried the liquid, was not impressed. You might want to try a more concentrated carnauba wax. But thanks to Audrey Jacobs and her beautiful work, she was kind enough to show us her work as she created this sailboat, and we put a chain on it with add your chain and display your beautiful work.